As of May 2025, there are a total of 99 playable characters. Once Skirk and Dahlia come out, it will be a total of 101. Out of all these playable characters in Genshin, only 32 of them are male. 33 if you want to include the upcoming Dahlia. If my math is correct, that means roughly 32% of Genshin's cast are actually male. If we want to break this down even further, out of these 33 male characters, 18 of them are 5 stars, with the rest being 4 stars. My math isn't the greatest, so if you would be kind to double check me in the comments, I would really appreciate it. The last 5-star male characters was Kanish in September of 2024. Before him, the previous 5-star was Ryazli, that released in October of 2023. While we have had male 4 stars released between these two, it is in my opinion a bit ridiculous that we're now seeing a trend of less and less male characters in Genshin. According to prior data, the gender demographics of this game is a pretty close split, with 55% of players being male and 45% of them being female. Not to say that all female players will want to spend on male characters, and all male characters will want to spend on female characters, but it's still a data point worth considering. I'll link this article in the comments if you want to see a further data breakdown. The ratio of female to male characters has already been discussed before, and not just with Genshin Impact. Games like Honkai Star Rail and Wuthering Waves are receiving criticisms regarding their gender ratio of characters coming out too. If you're curious, HSR has approximately 70% male player base to 30% female, and I actually wasn't able to find statistics for the male/female ratio for Rua. As someone who tends to pull for male characters, I find it frustrating to see Genshin specifically release them less and less. To answer the question I posed in the title, I do think we need more male characters. No hate to those who enjoy their female ones, but getting only one 5-star male unit per year is just sad. If we want to assume for a moment that most female players will want to pull for male characters, it definitely feels like Genshin is ignoring the 45% female player base in favor of the male one. With anything though, there's always nuance and exceptions to the rules. You girlies can pull your girl characters, and the men can pull for their male characters too. I can definitely see why a lot of players feel like they're being ignored. Well, that may be for a combination of a bunch of different reasons if we consider the Genshin developers. But alas, for the sake of this topic, I've constantly seen posts from players wanting a more balanced cast. For me personally, I don't need there to be an even split of female to male. I'd just like to get more than one 5-star a year with a couple of 4 stars. I also have to note that a lot of the male characters in Genshin are written pretty decently. Venti had a fantastic first story quest with how he honors his best friends by taking on his appearance. Kazuha was a compelling character to introduce us to the Inazuma storyline, though his actual story quest that came later was a bit rough. Scaramouche had a great arc in getting to dive into his character. The betrayals and how his character developed throughout Sumeru was riveting. Baiju's dilemma with immortality and his vow to make sure no one makes a contract with his snake Changsheng again, but at the same time wanting to find a way to keep Changsheng from dying. Albedo being a synthetic human who follows in his master's Gold's steps, but believes that one day he will need someone to stop him from destroying Mondstadt. I think you get the point by now, even with those one-sentence summaries of their stories. While there is good writing for some of the female characters as well, it pales in comparison to the careful attention the male characters get for their stories. One of my frustrations early on in the game's lifespan with the female cast was that so many of them had the overworked personality trait. To name some just off the top of my head, Jean, Noelle, Kokomi, Kuching, Ganyu, it was exhausting towards the beginning of the game having so many characters that were built from the same mold. Not to mention that some of their story quests completely failed to deliver. Ganyu, who participated in the Arcana War alongside Rex Lapis, had so much potential to dive into her past. Instead, we get to run around collecting taxes. Yup. Kokomi, who was hyped to be this genius strategist, barely got to showcase her skills in both the Inazuma Archon quests and her own story quest. In fact, we spent time in her quest waiting in her secret hideout for her to wake up from exhaustion. Recently, we had Eonsen release, a very hyped up character from the Teyvat trailer. Not only did she not have a big spotlight in the story like the rest of the tease characters from the trailer, but she came off, and it hurts me to say this, very bland with her only talking about training. I would have really liked to see other sides to her character. Keqing, I believe, still doesn't have her own story quest, and instead they made her the highlight of various lantern rites. Same goes for Chi-Chi, though she got less screen time in the events. My intention with this video isn't to put down one set of characters over the other. I think Genshin is running into a problem where by releasing so many female characters, they're beginning to blur together. As opposed to having only 1/3 of the male characters, they flesh them out more and they do stand out comparatively. It's possible that if Genshin decided to go crazy and release a bunch of male characters that they too would face a lack in writing quality. We also have to consider that with over 100 characters in Genshin, it's harder to make them unique regardless of their gender. While I do wish we had more male characters in the gacha genre as a whole, the one upside is that I'm able to save more of my currency. It's not as strenuous trying to collect a bunch of female characters that are just releasing non-stop, but the reason we are likely getting so many female characters as opposed to male ones is likely due to sales. Though plenty of male units have done extremely well in terms of sales, we have to consider that they were doubled up with other popular units. For example, according to Genshin Lab, the second highest banner sales includes both Ayato and the Shogun. To find the next standalone character banner, it's Venti's first banner in 9th place, and we have to remember that was one of the first banners in the entire game. I actually had written in the section that male characters sell just as well as female ones, but I was proven wrong once I looked at the data. I'll link it below in case you want to see the full chart. It plays a little animation if you want the suspense, or you can just click at the bottom of the timeline to skip to the end. But do consider this one only goes up to 2024, so it's missing some data, but I believe it still paints the general picture. While the demographics are close for Genshin players, that may not matter even if many of us want more male characters. I've seen the argument a few times that if we want male gacha characters to just play a different game, like Love and Deep Space, but I don't think that properly addresses the issue. We continue to play the games we do because we enjoy them. When we start to see less and less of the character types we enjoy in the gacha space, it's going to lessen that enjoyment. How many of you, regardless of gender, are hoping for Capitano to still be playable? Yeah. I hope he gets there too, but imagine if more good male characters get thrown to the wind like he did. I know with the reveal of Mini Doran, I would be upset if he didn't get to be playable. Thank you so much for listening to the video. I want to make it clear again that I understand being one gender doesn't mean you'll automatically pull for the other. It all comes down to personal preference, whether you love the lore, the kit, or just think they're cool. Whether you prefer one type of character over the other is perfectly fine. I just hope to see more male characters join the roster, and I know I'm not alone in wanting this. If you enjoyed, please subscribe, tell me your thoughts, and if you want to watch more gacha related videos, I have plenty on my channel now. Until next time.